And let's introduce the panel. So from KEO Marketing, Sheila Klefkarn. From Lane Terralever, Todd Bresnahan. From Avella, Todd Speranza. And Todd's been a recent speaker of ours, and he was also a judge of the AMA Spectrum Awards. So thank you for coming here, too. Chris Petroff from GPEC, or Greater Phoenix Economic Council. I didn't write that down. And John Alpog from Cybermark International. And let's get started.
Thank you very much. So thank you guys. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. We really wanted to put this event together to kind of bring the marketing community together for a day and kind of talk about what's happening within our industry and some of the change that we've seen over the last 5, 7, even 10 years. And some of the things we could be looking towards seeing more change in the future. I think there's been a lot of stuff going on, specifically in Arizona. Our economy has changed. We're seeing a lot more taking place in the startup and entrepreneurship community. Technology has changed. 6 years ago, I don't think we even had iPhones, and today everyone's got some kind of device in their pocket that they're using in all kinds of ways. So we've had a lot of consolidation. We've had a lot of new things happening within our industry, and what better time to bring everybody together than when it's 120 degrees outside. And we can't throw an event of our own, so let's team up. No, I'm just kidding. So here we are today, and we wanted to bring in some folks that really, brought some variety and some different types of perspectives. Folks from B2C, folks from B2B. I thought it was great to have Chris here to kind of give a perspective of what GPEC's doing and what companies are looking for when they're coming out here to Arizona and what kind of ecosystem they're looking to build and what they're wanting to see from agencies. Because people look at groups like us and companies like us where they're making decisions in terms of whether they want to come out here and bring their companies or start companies here. And then folks like John, and John, was a CMO here at PetSmart for a while before he actually moved into the agency business and bought his own. So he's kind of, I don't know why the hell he did that, but here he is out doing it. So that's what we got today, and so we're going to dive right in. And Gabe and I, so the format we're going to do is Gabe and I are going to kind of bounce back and forth with questions. We kind of set up one question for each of these guys, just real softballs, make them sound really fun. No, I'm just kidding. And let them start off answering a question and kind of go down the line, and then we'll take some Q&A. We're going to try and say 15 to 20 minutes of Q&A at the end. If anyone wants to grab some food or grab a drink in the middle, feel free to stand up. And then we'll have about an hour left over afterwards to do some networking. Okay. So we're going to dive right in with Todd. And Todd, we excuse me if I'm looking at my notes here because we obviously put these together last minute because we're all procrastinators on the other. But I should have these memorized. But one of the first things I talked about just now is kind of we're seeing a lot of consolidation. We're seeing a lot of change in the industry. We're seeing a lot of different things happening with digital and everything else. You've been with Lane for 20 years almost, and you guys just did a big acquisition or merger recently. Talk to the group about kind of some of the things that have been going on, and why are we seeing more of these consolidations? What are some of the changes you guys are experiencing?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Is
that better?
Yeah.
Better? I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. Better? Worse? First of all, thanks a lot for having us here. It's highly unlikely. You guys are very lucky that there are 2 Todds on the panel. You don't really get to see that very often. You usually pay a lot more money for that. So this is pretty exciting. What do I have, about 45 minutes? But on the question of mergers and acquisitions and why they're happening, I think the marketplace is demanding it, quite frankly. What we were finding is EB Lane, which had been around for about 52 years, was a traditional branding agency, and Terralever, an agency, a digital agency that was started about a dozen years ago. We were both facing the same thing, kind of the same coin, different sides. EB Lane had a digital practice, and we were doing a lot of digital work with our clients, but in new business pitches, we weren't taken as seriously as we wanted to be taken. People didn't believe our credentials in the digital area. And quite frankly, they weren't of the caliber of TerraLever. And on the flip side, TerraLever was finding situations where they were doing all this great digital work for their clients, and the clients would say, God, we really want to do more work with you. We've got all these branding assignments, but too bad you're a digital shop, we can't give it to you. And we were both really tired of hearing that. We were both working with the same M&A firm, JDB Capital, and we put it together. I like to say it was really simple. It wasn't. It took a long time, 9 months, but we each needed it for the growth of our company, now the combined company, for our employees and team members, and to be able to offer even more services to our clients. And it's paid off tremendously. We've been very fortunate. We've had the opportunity to hire a lot of people, 25 people since January. Revenues are up about 25% from where the combined companies would have been. And that's exciting for us. It's exciting for the marketplace, and a little scary for us because it wasn't our 6-month plan. We're a little further along than we thought we might be. But what we're finding is also is to stay on this theme of the marketplace demanding it. CMOs are looking for different things. There are those CMOs that want to have everything under one roof, or most things under one roof. There's a lot of CMOs that want to have different shops with different best practices at play, and we want to be able to serve as many of those constituents as we can. Those that want us for more things, or just a specific digital opportunity. And because the era of the agency of record, I think, is kind of getting past its prime. I mean, there's still some opportunities there, but it's much more expertise driven, and that's what our focus is. Vortex is a good example. One of our clients in Maryland started as a digital-only client with TerraLever, and at the time of the merger, they said, "This is great. We need to get you involved with some other things." So now we're involved in their digital media, their traditional media, some public relations, creative. We just started working on this week. So that's the type of evolution that we're looking for, and that's why we did this. And it's been very exciting for us. Hopefully good for the market too.
Jim, if you want to talk a little bit about the B2B space, I mean, B2B is kind of a whole different piece, and now there's a lot more it's a combination between what B2B and B2C is doing. So how are you seeing change taking place in our market?
Yeah, I think it's changed a lot, especially in the last 2 years even, that we find that if we're not providing more business value, we're not providing more marketing value. And so we spend a lot more time as business consultants helping our clients figure out paths to success for their entire business, not just their marketing, and it builds from that. So we've been hearing for a long time about being in the information age, and we're certainly drowning in information, which we access every moment of the day on every type of device, right? And Forrester's coined something really recently that I love, which is that we're no longer in the information age, but we're in the age of the customer. And so my background is I used to run the world's largest youth marketing agency in New York City in the 90s, and we were very focused on the amount of customer data and segmentation that we could do given the technology at that time, and that's a very B2C sort of thing. So all of you here who come to AMA and think a lot about customer segmentation, and certainly whether it be apparel companies or what have you, you have a lot of data about your customers. And one of the most exciting things for me, running a B2B agency now for the last 14 years, is that we are now in that same place where we have a ton of data out there about how our clients, customers operate, what they like, what they don't like, and the opportunity to leverage that customer data and become really valuable strategic advisors to our clients is very, very powerful. We spend a lot of time telling our clients more about their customers than they already knew, and then plans for how to better connect with those folks. So I just think it's a truly, truly amazing time. Google had more than 500 algorithm updates last year alone. 3 of them were huge. One of them was, as you all know, Hummingbird, the whole new algorithm. And so the way that we market to customers has to be hyper personalized, and it has to be great content that's relevant. So 96% of people have received some marketing message that was not well targeted. So how many of you feel like that happened to you? You've received a message that was not well targeted to you. And then how many of you have received a message that was incredibly well targeted to you, right? Yep. And which one did you prefer? The one that was incredibly well targeted to you, right? And that's our task. So that if we evolve our organizations to be hyper-focused on our clients' customers, then we can add incredible value because technology has improved so much. We can aggregate a phenomenal amount of data. I mean, I have 2 people on, I only have a 15-person agency. 2 people are totally focused on data all the time. That's all they do is monitor the performance of our clients. 5 years ago, I had 1 person doing that. 10 years ago, I had 0 people doing that. So it's just a huge, great opportunity for us.
So this kind of takes a step back to what we were saying before with some of the consolidation and everything else going on right now. There seems to be lower barriers to entry than there ever have been into the industry. There's a lot more freelancing. There's a lot more folks who are choosing to actually go off and work on their own and be part of an agency. How is that impacting your guys' company? And I'll let you talk a little bit about how you guys hire and everything else as well in terms of when you're looking to hire right now and bring on agencies, are you always looking for the agency, or are you sometimes relying more on the individual content creator, the copywriter, the freelance graphic designer, the WordPress guru? What's kind of the trend out there, and what's your comfort level?
Yeah, sure. We tell you on my experience, and I've made mistakes in this process, but I had this dream a few years back to have an agency of record that would manage everything for us. I had seen, I was on the agency side, clients parsing their business across many agencies, and I think, wow, they're teaching all these different agencies about their business. That's got to be time consuming. That can't be efficient. You've got to be churning money on this. Why are you doing it this way? So when I tried agency of records, what I found was we were setting ourselves both up to failure, right? Because we'd want the agency to do everything under one shop. The agency would want to do that because if they said no to it, they'd risk it going to another agency that could then poach all the other business, right? So you're sort of forcing this model, but you set both of your parties up for failure because oftentimes they're saying yes to something that they really may not be great at, or they're sort of forcing you towards something that may not be what you initially needed. Then I've gone the other end of the spectrum and used a lot of different individual vendors that are sort of great at one specific skill set. And I think that's sort of where we're moving towards are really more defined specific skill sets where we need somebody great at one specific thing. The challenge with that is that if you're having a week that consists of 20 weekly status meetings with 20 different groups, you're really not getting anything done. So I think what we're looking towards now is sort of a hybrid model where we work with an agency that we see sort of as a general contractor and really a trusted advisor that's going to be able to say, yes, we can do this, we're going to do a great job. If they can't do it, they can find the resources outside of that. They can really be a great partner, and then they can be the contractor on that understands your brand, and understands your messaging, and understands your business so that when you work with a third party that may not know all of those things, they can help be sort of the eyes and ears and keep you on brand and keep the project moving forward. And they can also hopefully bring great partners to the table that maybe you weren't even thinking about before, so that unique skill set that maybe wasn't on your radar, they're able to go out and source that for you as well.
Todd and Sheila, do you guys see yourself being a little more targeted or a little more siloed now and who you're looking to hire, more specialists, more folks focused on specific areas, or is it generalists still very important to you guys? You want to talk a little about that? You're kind of looking to how you build your agency these days?
I think we've had specialists for the last 5 or 6 years that have gotten phenomenally great at their specialties. I think if I think about where our agency is going, we're actually going back and focusing more on having people who can be specialists in an area but generalists enough to cover, because things are moving so fast. So if you're doing a lot of really segmented, personalized customer messaging, and you're involved in social media and you're involved in search and these kinds of things, you've got to be able to move really, really quickly. So I think the agency of the future and certainly as the agency that we are creating right now, are people who are very agile. So I have content people who are good at copywriting and good at video. I have people who know a lot about general marketing and who can move quickly and look at analytics and have a conversation with a client. So we don't have account managers anymore. It's just changing because I think in an agency we need to be able to do exactly what Todd said, which is be a general contractor. That's the way our agency works, is that we're a general contractor and we bring in third parties when needed, and we know what's happening with the brand. But we've also got to be able to act really, really quickly. And I have a smaller team than some agencies in the room, but we've just got to be able to do that in a way where all of the people on the team own that relationship. So in my agency, everybody on the team, every client gets at least 5 people, and every one of those 5 people knows what's going on with every part of it. I used to work at a big digital agency, and there was a team that did this, and you had a meeting for that, and there's a team that did this, and you had a meeting for that. Gone are those days. That's way too slow. You're just not going to have the impact that way.
Yeah, we're probably a little more schizo than you are in terms of specialty and generalist versus specialization. And it really depends a lot on the department and the function. Account management probably a little more general, but over the last 10 years or so, the types of people we've hired in an agency environment that has really swung tremendously. 10, 15 years ago, we weren't hiring, business analytics and business intelligence people, the really hardcore data, propeller head crunchers. And we got a lot of them now, which is exciting. That's a whole different program. And, within our developers, that's a whole other area and a lot of specialization there. So it's we have to hire the right sorts of skill sets, whether it's general or specialized, depending on the clients that we're serving, the types of projects that we're working on, and that's where our game is. And if you're a developer in the room or know a developer, we want to talk with you.
All of us.
We'll talk more about that later. So I'm actually going to hand, and we're going to.
Actually, on that line of thinking, John, I'd like for you to chime in, since you were on the client side and now you're on the agency side, what your thoughts are on how things have evolved for the agency.
I think in general, the agencies are responding to this huge change in marketing, where there's so many more channels as a marketing team you have to address, and the complexity of having so many channels to deal with and orchestrating it all is incredibly complex. And so I think what you heard from Todd is kind of the agency's response to that. And I think I'm a big believer that I think the agency of record model is over, for most businesses. And I do think maybe where I might disagree here with Todd is I think it's incredibly important that it's incumbent upon businesses to have at least somebody within the business that is overseeing the agencies and really taking ownership for the brand and the marketing program. So I feel very strongly about that, and I'm not a big fan of outsourcing that and saying, we're going to turn over our brand and marketing to an agency and kind of you guys take it from here. So, but I think it's just marketing is changing so much and so rapidly that the agencies models are changing very quickly, and what the demands from the marketing side on the company side, the brand side, they're just getting greater and greater. And it's difficult to continue to create real value.
Now I want to go back real quick to when Scott introduced you. You went from a successful, prestigious career as Chief Marketing Officer at PetSmart to buying an existing agency, being CEO, and I think Scott hit it on the head. Why?
What the heck am I doing? So PetSmart's a fantastic company. I had 15 great years there, but I've always kind of wanted to take a shot at running my own company. And just being in the marketing business, I had friends and family members who had businesses who would contact me for advice or suggestions or problems. And one of the things that I noticed is, they had relatively small company. My brother has a small kind of paper distributor company. And it just didn't seem like if you were truly a small business, and that the average marketing budget of a small business is $400. And so how do you help him in that case, do the best that he can with a very small budget. It just doesn't seem like there were great options. There's a do-it-yourself model with HubSpot, but if you're Joe's Pizza Shop and you're Joe, you're focused on your pizza shop. You don't have 30 hours a week to spend on creating landing pages. That's not really all that great. And there's a lot of, the barriers to entry are very small, and so there's a lot of kind of fly-by-night companies that come in and will do stuff, and we get a lot of customers that didn't have good experiences there. And there's some great agencies, laying Terra Legal, but they're not going to get out of bed for $400. So there just seemed to be like this area that was rich for someone to try and figure out and create a good business model for these small companies. So we deal with entrepreneurs, and I met Kimberly, who's the founder of Cybermark. Cybermark's been around 20 years, and that's what they have been doing for 20 years. And they have a number of clients that have grown with them, in their 10 or 15 years. But they have a really interesting business model for small, I would say small business. And I just felt like there was an opportunity for somebody to try and come in and maybe systematize it some more and grow it and brand it and go from there. So based on that, we started talking, and then we just came to an agreement that I bought the company, and she stayed on as Chief Customer Officer and does all our sales. Does a phenomenal job, and it just kind of worked out well for both of us. And yeah, I'm only a month and a half into it, so any advice I'd appreciate it. We'll talk to Todd here later.
Can you talk about what it was like stepping into that role for the first? Think back to the first day, the first week, going from the big corporate structure to something that is.
It's very different. So yeah, you're going from a place where I was responsible for spending $15 million a week to working with several hundred companies, trying to help them spend $500, $15 million a month, trying to help them spend $400, $500 a month. But it was fun because I really enjoy working with and getting to see all these different businesses. That's the fun part of the agency side. You get to work with a number of different companies, not just your own company. So that part is really interesting. Just being a student of business and just being really interested in helping others grow their business. That's been fun. But it's a big difference, obviously.
So, I'm guessing with PetSmart, you had a good-sized team, and almost like an agency itself within there. How do you see the roles and the way that agency worked for PetSmart, for the stores that you guys had versus the team that you have, and have you looked at modeling an agency almost like an internal corporate department, or do you still have it?
Yeah, so this is what I'm trying to kind of assess and figure out is how best, because what we did at PetSmart, wouldn't really work for our customers because our customers, like I said, are small businesses, and so we're dealing with the entrepreneurs. These companies don't have marketing teams, marketing departments. They may have a coordinator, somebody that's kind of doing the coordination that we work with, but we have to create a model that creates value for them at a very, very small level, micro retainers, and that's a challenge. And how do you systematize that, institutionalize that, so you can kind of repeat that process over and over again for multiple different businesses is kind of what we're working on. But there's absolutely something there, and what I'm really excited about is that digital, in my opinion, is kind of the democratization of marketing. If you go back, 10, 15, 20 years, if you were a small business, you didn't stand a chance. The marketing options to you, weren't nearly as great as if you were a big company with big budgets. And that's completely changed. Digital is, the leveling the playing field, and there are a number of products I think that are on the horizon that will continue to create great opportunities for very small companies to do some very sexy things in marketing, whether it be, digital television. So if you're Joe's Pizza Shop, what if you had, $1,000 a month to spend on advertising to the 1,000 households that are TV advertising that are close by? That's going to come. I don't know when, but it's going to come. Great ways to capture information at the point of sale and build a database again. So there are a lot of digital opportunities now, but there's even more coming. So the question for us is, how do you build something you can create value for people that have very small budgets?
So with that in mind, keep in mind budget. We hear this word all the time to save money, automation. And with automation and all this new technology and everything else that's out there, to me automation, I don't know if anybody thinks automated things are just like a big lie. Nothing's automated down. but we've got a lot of our clients looking to us to know these technologies, implement them, make them work. It's not just market automation, it's tools for social media, it's tools for analytics and reporting. It's just an abundance of, I think I saw a chart or a graphic a few weeks ago that had the number of marketing technologies that are out there, and it was, you can even see the white space in the page with all the logos that were on there. How are you guys, and we can kind of go down from John to Todd and back, and I love your Chris's perspective too. How are you guys using these things? Are you looking to hire folks that know these technologies? Are you certified? I think Sheila, you're a HubSpot reseller, right? Or a HubSpot partner. Several platforms. So how are you guys looking to work with some of these companies? I know that there's Google certifications for what you can get. There's so many things out there. We decide what's best. For the small micro business, there's a huge software in town. But do you partner with these guys? How are you guys looking at those types of opportunities?
Yeah, we always talk about being platform agnostic. So typically when we start with a client, they have some platforms, and I have folks on my team who are really great at learning really quickly how to leverage these systems if we haven't already. A lot of the systems we've seen before and we have used. Different platforms do different things. So I was just talking to somebody before we started about, should I be on HubSpot? And I said, well, what size of business are you? What are you trying to do with it? Maybe Infusionsoft is better if you're kind of more at an entry point, but Infusionsoft has evolved a lot and they do a lot of great things. I have a huge $400 million company who's been leveraging HubSpot really great, but HubSpot is not as customizable as we like, and they're going to be kicking it up to Eloqua. So the most important thing about technology is finding the technology that will work for the client. So a lot of people say, which should I use? And I say, well, let's talk about what your needs are and what's the best platform for that. And all of those platforms are evolving all the time. So I think in an agency, it's really important that we have people who are able to have the analytical skills and the quick learning skills. So before I hire anybody, I give them an assessment, and one of the things that's on there is a learning index. And I want their learning index on a scale of 10, I want it to be at least a 6. Because our industry moves so fast that if they aren't able to learn all this stuff, literally everything we do is different this year than it was 3 years ago. So when I hire people, I want them to have a little bit of a sense of things, but as long as they come in and they have a thirst to know, and they have a thirst to figure things out, even if it means they have to stay up late to get ready for a client meeting tomorrow, they're going to figure that out. And I think that's what makes a great agency, when you have people who are ahead. We always have to be ahead of where our clients are, and as long as we have an opportunity with a lot of different clients to work on that, then we can do that, because we can leverage what we have going on over here and over here and over here.
Follow-up question, Sheila, how do you measure that learning index with incoming prospective employees?
I use that assessment. So
versus an assessment and learning index assessment in the interview process?
yes.
Oh, all right.
I really don't have much more to add to Sheila, plus one for your comment. That's it. It's what's the objective, and then what's the best tool to get it. And it's our burden to make sure we're on top of what those technologies are to help sort through things. Because the last thing certainly that we want is a client coming to us with an idea for a tool that we've never heard of. Not that ever happens, but we certainly don't want that to happen. You guys have any?
Move on to our next question. So we're going to move on to our good friend Todd. Todd's kind of unique up here because Todd's like he can actually, he's a client with a real dad, like
He's got a real job.
Yeah, he's got a real job, right? So Todd, tell us what life is like. I'll walk down here and get life. But kind of you started to hit on it a little bit in terms of how you guys are hiring agencies right now. Agencies and marketing folks, it's more of their job probably to work together than ever. I can't tell you, from our perspective, we work with a lot of clients where there's several agencies, there's freelancers, multiple folks involved. How are you guys? We're looking to put that team together now, and not only that, but does it have to be local? Does it have to be here?
The preference is always local. We start here, right? We work here, we live here. Many of us went to school here, so our preference is always local, and so we start there. Proximity, though, does not trump value and expertise, right? Not necessarily cost, right, but just value. So we want to make sure people know their stuff. But we start here. If it doesn't work, we go outward. So an example, we are switching to CRM, Salesforce. They came back with a number of different partners, and we immediately said, nope, start with your partners that are local. Let's start there. Let's see if we can find somebody local who is going to be able to do this well. Because as great as the tools are out there, like Basecamp and other tools, we believe the best collaboration still happens in person. So we definitely put a value on that. And then we look for people that can solve multiple problems. If you can solve one problem for us, you're sort of a freelancer and maybe a project that you can do for us. But if you can solve multiple problems for us, you're really going to be a long-term partner. And that's really what we look for. Hopefully those partners are really taking the time and the energy to get to know our business, and so they're understanding what our needs are. And they're good marketers, they're curious, so they're out there and they're finding great tools for us, and they're coming back saying, maybe you know about this, maybe you don't, but we're using this for another customer. I read this great article, and knowing your business, this is a great opportunity for you. Because as smart as I think our team is, we don't have all the answers, so we need partners to help with that.
So from that localization perspective, there's all this talk about. I did a presentation with the Tech Council like a month ago about buzzwords out in marketing right now. And another one out there is inbound. So we have all these inbound opportunities and inbound. And this is great for when we do all this inbound stuff. And today I see you saw an email talking about the inbound movement. So like this is a movement now. I didn't know, so I'm glad I know now. But that does open up the door to, for us as our agencies, but for everybody, that it opens the door towards more of a national perspective. And although there are the localized agencies, what are we feeling in terms of working with small businesses, B2B, B2C, in terms of our opportunities to market and grow outside of Arizona? Are you finding that easier these days? Are you finding it more difficult when you run these campaigns? Where are you targeting? What are you doing to try and get more clients yourself?
We have most of our customers are outside of Arizona, so it's kind of surprised me given the nature of our business. But we have a couple hundred customers, and they're really spread across the country. Probably 15% of them are in Arizona, and 85% are somewhere else in the country. But again, technology I think enables you to even small business like us to reach out and have a national profile, even though you're a local company. And I do think that I agree with Todd. There is some value placed on personal interaction, especially when you start having agencies where you're having a lot of a higher retainer and a lot of interaction. But in our case, there's just not a lot of face-to-face interaction with our customers. It's mostly over the phone, and even for the customers that are local, they tend not to stop by the office. We'll do something on a call. So.
Well, we're a smaller agency, and we never take on more than 30 clients at any one time. So 64% of our clients are Arizona companies, and the rest are in various other places, Texas, Alabama, California, other places like that. We focus a lot on our marketing here in Arizona, and most of our clients outside of Arizona come to us by referral. And so we do actually very little for ourselves that we do for our clients. We do more of it today than we used to. We've just really built this business off of referrals. Many of our clients have been with us for a decade. So we place so much of an emphasis on having a relationship of innovation, having a relationship of really providing more value, really feeling like we're as much a part of that business, and we eat, sleep, and breathe that business's results as much as the folks inside of the company, that has worked well for us over the last 14 years. And we get other clients from other things, but I'm the only salesperson, so as one salesperson for an agency, I focus on the quality of the relationships. I know most of the people in the room, and that's because I've been past president of the AMA, BMA, just been really involved in the community, and that served me really well. And fortunately, we've had a lot of success from that.
Yeah, it's really from a we were all B2B marketers, essentially, even though we might be doing a lot of consumer marketing on behalf of our clients. We truly are B2B. So reputation management is really the name of the game, I think, for all of us. And that's how we get recognized in this market, how we get recognized out of the market. We're fortunate now as a larger company that we've got folks like Elise as our marketing director, Nick Dan Burton, who's here, is one of our business development guys, so we're able to have even more focus on that. But it comes down to reputation, trying to create that reputation so we can get the referrals in-state, out-of-state. Our focus is pretty much on. We've got a group of clients that are Arizona and Arizona-focused clients like the Lottery or National Bank of Arizona, and then other companies that are based here but are marketing elsewhere, like Republic Services or Cable One, and then companies outside of state that, like Gore-Tex that I mentioned in Maryland, or Goodyear Retail in Akron, Ohio, that suddenly we're a lot better looking because we're 500 miles away in Arizona. Presumably they like to golf or something like that. That's how we come down here. But yeah, it's been an interesting mix. So that's what we need to continue to focus on to grow.
So with just kind of continuing that real fast, with John, you're mentioning how a lot of your clients are outside of the state. There's so much technology that's out there these days. We've got WebEx, we've got conference calls, we basically you can get to anytime. Are we losing any of that personal touch that used to be there? Are we kind of gaining some of that back? And you see that as a level it's supposed to be, and is that still as much of a focus for you guys? And that's what we bring it.
I think it's really important, and we get a lot of business from entrepreneurs that went with some of these very large companies you might see advertised on television that provide them services, and they get stuck on hold 40 for 45 minutes with a question, etc. So I think it's really important, and that works out great for some, but for us, that the fact that there's somebody there that works on their business, that'll take a call, that'll answer a question, and maybe it's an email question completely unrelated to this, but they know. Again, they don't have an IS department, right? These are small companies. They'll call us and we'll answer their questions. So I think it's critical, and it's been, for Kimberly, one of the things that's really made her successful. We have clients too that go those 15 years and greater. Just being that partner and being accessible, I think, is critical.
Yeah, I mean, for us, even our team, so 5 of our 10 people do not live in Arizona. So we need to leverage that for our team itself, and we've got a really cool, fun culture. They love the 3 times a year that everybody's here in the same place, but the rest of the time we work virtually, and that's a pretty fun culture, but it means that we need to place a lot of effort on communication. So every Tuesday we have a team meeting, and every Tuesday we talk about and rate ourselves on how we're doing with our communication with each other and with our clients, because we have to go that extra mile to do more, to make sure that we are anticipating communication, being in coordination with each other, things like that.
Yeah, I definitely, in communication with clients, technology's almost gotten too good and too easy. It's so much easier to text or email a client as opposed to picking up the phone or driving down the street if you have that opportunity. And I think the pendulum will swing back to that. We really try and encourage it. It's also important within the company. When we renovated our building to accommodate everyone, we specifically wanted to eliminate offices or most offices and create lots and lots of open collaborative areas. So much more happens when you and I can see each other and sit down and have a 5-minute conversation as opposed to trying to work it out over email over 3 days. It's crazy. So yeah, we got to get back to the basics. Really, definitely.
Yeah, we're 90% face-to-face organization, similar to Tom in the end. It's we're a consumer, but 90% of our team is face-to-face with our customers, and my group and the marketing communication group almost acts as like air support for them. But our business doesn't exist without the face-to-face.
What's the rule on texting clients? I just got because I find, and I don't know if you guys have found this, I've had people, come and try and sell stuff. All of a sudden, I'll get a text at 6:37. You have time to chat tomorrow? And it just drives me nuts. I won't do it. That's Heather. You want to ask the next question?
So to answer that, actually, we do a lot of that.
You guys really?
Yeah. It was probably me. No, no, we do. I mean, just from an efficiency standpoint, and depending on who our client is, if our client's a 20-year-old CEO in the Bay Area, that's the norm. We got to act to our client. Isn't Sheila brought up a great point earlier. It's about customer development, customer discovery, acting and delivering a product or a service that is how your customer wants and needs and is expected to. We have some customers, that are running Fortune 50 companies or Fortune 10 companies where you text them at 6:30 in the morning, you're going to hear about it. But we wouldn't do that to them. You really do have to deliver to what that client wants. And if that client is texting you and it's okay to text back and you're going to get stuff done, then that's what our team will deliver.
All right, this next question is for Sheila. You started KEO marketing 14 years ago here in the Valley. Your focus was B2C, and now you have gone to B2B model. So you have a unique perspective. We'd like to hear what you see where B2B has gone in the last 5 years.
Why did I change? Because I love B2B. And that's what you get to do when you're the owner of the agency. I truly, truly love B2B. And so that's why we switched. I had 8 years at that B2C agency in New York City, and it was a wild ride, and it was fun, and it was the .coms, and we went public and folded, and it was really wild and fun. But I just love B2B. I feel like we can make just such a massive impact on the world. And so I'm pretty selective about the clients that we take, in that they need to be doing something of value in the world. When I started this agency, I thought, I'm not doing any more marketing for tobacco, and I'm not doing any more marketing for like Skittles that don't have any nutritional value, and I'm not going to do those things. And I'm only going to work with clients who I love them as people. And so we tend to take clients and work with clients who we love working with them. They are great people, and they want to make a big impact in the world. And then my team gets so excited every day because we're working with people who are really doing something valuable. So we're really known for our work with data centers. And I know that's the most snooze fest type of product out there, data centers and everything, but I think it's the coolest, most awesome type of thing that you can do, because the whole world, every one of you and your phones, that data rests somewhere. And so data centers, I love. Everything about them I love. Everything about managed IT services I love. And so that's why we do that.
You don't give the intelligence center perspective clients do.
Well, no. But I can tell you that most of our clients use those assessments now. We
are doing it a month and a half, and I've been tempted already to try that. So.
Right. So, I just think there's so much out there to market that we should work for companies that we're passionate about, and we should represent clients that we're passionate about. And if I get a text at 6 in the morning talking about a data center thing, I actually do get excited.
On that note, though, at what point did you have that aha moment where, okay, our agency is just going to work with these companies we're passionate about? Not all agencies, as you're starting up, have that luxury of being able to pick and choose. It's the ones that are going to allow you to grow the business, and sometimes you have to weigh that.
I think everybody has the luxury to choose. I stopped working in an agency with a 6-figure salary, cold turkey. And started an agency, and we didn't do very well that first year. And I thought, am I going to get a job? And then I did consulting for the first 5 years, and I consulted for a bunch of different companies, and I'm like, would I love to just do this every day? And then I just decided we're only going to do stuff we love. Now I have some people on my team who came from Reebok and other places, and they love it when occasionally we get to do a B2C thing. They do love that. But I hire people who love this kind of stuff. So, your question about the luxury of needing to take any kind of client, I just fundamentally believe that's not true. I believe there's more than enough marketing for everybody. I believe that if you're doing what you're passionate about, then you're always going to have more business than you can possibly handle. I give more leads away to other agencies every month than I can handle, because I want everybody to have a great day.
So staying on that, so staying on that B2B, B2C kind of conversation, I said at the very beginning, we kind of see a lot more of a blend of B2B and B2C and more technology features the same. I think B2B is still really trying to figure out, what is it, what do we do with social media, what do you do with all these B2C kind of technologies that are out there. Not only that, but I say this all the time, we never turn work off anymore. We have our phones with us all the time, we're always in our pockets, they're sitting next to us. They're always there. We do not turn off work. So how is that kind of impacting B2C marketing versus B2B marketing? And I think, all of us, work with some B2B clients, even if we're not a B2B agency, but how is that impacting some of the strategies you've told you?
That's a heavy question.
Yeah.
Anybody?
I mean, I can.
So yeah, I guess a fundamental belief. And by the way, I think everyone has the freedom to choose. But I applaud you for having the courage to choose and say this is what we're going to do. Because I agree. If you're really getting passionate about what you're doing, you'll be better for your clients. So I think every business deserves an individual marketing plan. I had a customer wanted to come on board with us recently, and they were using another marketing agency and again, small business carpet cleaning, and they were spending $400 a month to pay somebody to do their social media postings. And I went in there and looked; they had 4 followers. So I've had Facebook, but they don't know any different. I'm like, I asked the guys, do you even have a Facebook account? He's like, I don't know. I think I do. So they just don't even know. And so I think everybody deserves a customized plan. And in that case, we said, let's put the social media on hold. Let's focus on some other things. I think it's one of the dangers of marketing in general is just there's so many shiny objects now to chase. And we're out there. Everybody needs to have social media. Everybody needs to have all this stuff. And I think it's really incumbent upon us to figure out what do they really need to be successful, especially when you have very, very limited budgets. And everybody should have a chance to have a customized plan, I think is what I would think about it.
Yeah, I'll add to that too, and I think it's important for any agency that's going to meet with a client is to understand specifically what it is that client's trying to accomplish, whether it's for a certain duration or for a project. Because oftentimes we'll meet with different agencies or groups who are trying to sell their services to us, and a lot of their strategies are tailored to a B2C environment, and we're going directly. We're a B2B organization. And so a lot of those services, really don't do us well. So yeah, to that, I think that plan, has to be dialed into what that customer's specific needs are. Not a broad brush, but pretty specific.
So let's stay with you, Chris. So, you just mentioned you guys are a B2B company, but you're marketing to other organizations who are bringing their businesses here and also trying to market what's so great about Arizona to bring their families here, bring their employees here, and try and find the right ecosystem here. So what is, how are you guys marketing in Arizona differently now than let's say you were 5 years ago? What is it about this ecosystem and what's happening here in Arizona that is attractive here?
It's all about MySpace.
That is right.
We have a huge MySpace strategy. And Friendster. No, we are actually pretty targeted. We don't do a lot of general type of marketing. You probably haven't seen most of our marketing at all locally, because 95% of our marketing is done out of state, and it is hyper focused. We are focused in on specific companies, specific individuals, specific geographic areas. So what we're trying to do constantly is bringing businesses here to set up shop and hire, whether it's 10 employees or 10,000 employees. That's our overall goal. So it's tough to have a broad-based marketing plan where you have ads, everywhere in hopes that someone's going to pick up the phone and call. There's actually a state in the Midwest has spent $35 million a year on marketing. And you start looking at that and what that ROI could be, and there comes to a point where the taxpayers have to say, is it really worth $35 million a year to market our state? Us as an organization, we're not a state entity, we're a nonprofit, so we don't have those type of funds at all. But the ROI that we're able to deliver to our stakeholders, who are companies that invest in us, is significant because we are so micro and pretty tactical. What was the other part of your question? Not my ADDs. I'm seeing all these Tiger Wood wannabes out there that are like taking a swing and having a beer, and it's kind of funny.
So the ecosystem that they're moving forward here.
Yeah. So we really do focus in on what are knowledge-based economies. So Phoenix has been built significantly on consumption-based markets for generations. So consumables, whether it's retail, hospitality, construction, restaurants, a lot of our economic development has been based off of consumables, and we're at this point in our economy where we have to be focused on a knowledge-based workforce, whether it's software developers, engineers, mathematicians, mechanical engineers, any type of profession that would come from a STEM type of education base is really what we need to be focused on. So when we're meeting with these companies, most of them are looking at bringing an operation based here that is in software development or manufacturing, or some sort of development of a product or R&D, and they're looking at what is that engineer talent pool, from software to mechanical to electrical, and so that is oftentimes the ecosystem is what they're looking for, is that educated workforce, not only with college degrees, but they also are looking at our K through 12 system as well. They also want to see a robust community. So when you think of Austin, Texas, or San Francisco, or Lodo in Denver, you get that image in your head of a nightlife, live music, good bars, fun people. A lot of companies want to see that as well. They want to see that type of ecosystem environment because oftentimes the workforce that they're looking to hire wants that type of lifestyle. So that's important as well.
So how are we stacking up? So you're looking to a lot of these cities that you just mentioned, the Austins, the Silicon Valleys, the companies outside of Arizona, trying to bring them here. How are we stacking up? And I think I know the answer to that, but where is it that we're coming up short and we're struggling to fix it?
Yeah, we stack up fairly well. So when you look at a company coming out of San Francisco that's looking at opening up a new office, they typically won't relocate out of a city like San Francisco just because that's where their executive suite lives and their families are, and that's where they want to stay. However, when they're looking at creating a new division or opening a new division where they're hiring 50, 100, 300 more people, they typically look at a city like Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, Salt Lake City. We stack up fairly well against those communities. We have programs in place and an operating environment here in the state and in the region that is really second to none when you look at the brass tacks. And it's also come down to you may have read over the last few years that it's always about incentives and incentives and incentives, and oftentimes it's not. It's about what is the best environment for that company, from workforce, from logistics, from servicing their customers. And there's a multitude of other reasons why companies are relocating, but it's not always about the incentives, and that's a big misconception about our industry, is that, whoever's writing the biggest checks gets the company, and oftentimes that's not the case.
So I want to bring up one word, and then we're going to go to our Q&A. I want to see what everyone's thought on this. I'll just give you a couple word answer, but offshore. Because we talked about it really quick, and I think everyone's got different opinions on it.
We see a lot. Yeah, so we actually see a lot of companies that are reshoring. We see a lot of companies that are bringing manufacturing back into the U.S. Because that cost of doing business, like the cost of manufacturing a good offshore and bringing it back onshore, depending on what that product is. I want to clarify that. But depending on what that product is, sometimes it's now becoming more cost-effective or close to being cost-effective to have it manufactured in the U.S. than offshore. But we still do see a significant amount of companies that are offshoring, whether it's technology parts or what have you, just because there is an economies of scale that we can't meet. So, but we see a lot of durable good companies that are actually bringing manufacturing back here.
Yeah. Guys, if anybody else wants to answer.
Yeah, it's offshoring is a real hot topic for us right now, and highly debated. Primarily because I think Pat and I were talking about this beforehand. It's so difficult to find development people in this market. I think we're probably all struggling with that. That was part of the attraction of our acquisition recently with Buzzmouth is some of their expertise in nearshoring and offshoring. Because we need to explore it more just to fill the gaps in our business. Our preference, quite frankly, is always to hire here whenever we can, but we've got to look at other options just to keep the projects moving on behalf of our clients.
We've tried every kind. And I think it really well. I mean, we've had a team in Mumbai for 7 years, and they just feel like I don't count those in the 15. They're another team, and they're great, and they feel like an extension of us, just like if they were in Tampa, Florida, or something like that. But we've also had some really horrible experiences with it too. So I usually do it based on where does the thinking need to happen, and the thinking needs to be stateside. And that's kind of the rule of thumb that I use. And so as development has gotten a lot more complicated, we do more here than we used to.
I would say that offshoring is a great source of new business for us because we get a lot of clients who have, especially with the small budgets, the first, you have a lot of these really, really inexpensive, agencies making big promises, sending the stuff overseas, and it just oftentimes doesn't work out. And then it's been actually good for us because they want more of a domestic. And I agree with Sheila. I mean, marketing, it's even digital marketing. In Tennessee, it's digital marketing, it's SEO or something. It's just all technical. It's still human thinking. English language, whatever it happens to be. The thinking piece is critical. What is somebody gonna? They get that organic search result. What are they gonna click on it or not? Why or why not? And customs, cultures, language, all those things play huge roles. So I think it's really difficult to outsource even digital stuff, even though it's digital and it seems like it'd be right for offshoring.
I suppose hit and miss. We're working with a group right now with our Salesforce implementation. We need hours. We need development hours. We need QA hours on that. So I think it's the best of both worlds where we've got sort of people that we can have here in town that we're whiteboarding out and we're coming up with the strategies. But we're hitting the account with more hours. You've got more hours in the day being worked on and you can offshore it. So as long as sort of the strategic end is still done here in a room where it can whiteboard it out, I certainly love the idea of keeping the cost contained and keeping more people hitting that project at the same period of time every day.
So leave it to the economic development guy to talk about manufacturing. A couple years ago, I left GPEC and started an incubator here in town. And I worked with a lot of early stage startups, and a lot of them were offshoring their development. But what they found is that they were spending significant more time because a lot of the communication was lost in translation. So although it may be cheaper up front, cheaper by the hour, at the end of the day, they were still paying the same amount. We could have had it done earlier. So sorry about talking about manufacturing.
Well, thank you guys. So we're gonna open up to Q&A. And I can pass the mic around. I kind of spread out room, but who's got some questions? Don't be shy.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm trying to learn a lot about content marketing. The buzzword that I also used to be in cloud, so I must be addicted to buzzwords. So, are you looking at helping companies develop content strategies? Are you calling that branding or strategic marketing, or looking at your websites prior to the event? I didn't see anything specific to that, but I also know that that's more of an internal marketing buzzword. So. Any comments on content marketing and how it's affecting your agency business relationship?
Everything we do is content marketing.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, it's a different name than it used to be called, but it's the same thing. It's just like SEO is not SEO anymore. It's inbound. we're really good at creating new marketing names for similar types of things. But you know, at the end of the day, if we are leveraging our customers and we're living in the age of the customer, then we need content that resonates with individual customers.
So do you help organizations internally find those subject matter experts to develop the content, or is it more that the agency is developing that content, or is it a hybrid?
It's a hybrid. For some of our clients, they are in a thing where they believe that we could never possibly understand what it is that they do, and they create it themselves, and then we kind of change it so that the world could understand what it is. For some clients, we actually create it for them so we do it differently based on every client.
So who in here has downloaded a white paper in the last year? Okay. Now who read the entire thing? Wow. Okay.
I love those 3-page ones.
3 pages.
Pretty pictures.
Yeah, I love those.
Infographics.
Yeah.
I think content. I'll give you my opinion on content. But you know, I see all the time. You know, folks come to us and they want content. It's content marketing. We want content, and they have no idea what they're going to do with it. They just want content. You know, so they're ready to spend 20, 30, 40, 50 grand on creating all these documents and microsites and landing pages and content and all this stuff, and then 6 months later they have not done anything with it because they spent all their budget on content. They don't have anything left to go spend on marketing it and get it out to people, or they load it up into a marketing automation system and they blast the same person 6 times with it and say, "Yeah, we're content marketing." It's, I think content marketing is not a strategy; it's a tactic, and you've got to be really, really careful with it. And you've got to go back to, I just think you've got to be simple in everything you do. Content marketing, I'd rather see the pretty pictures, the infographics, than a bunch of talking. It's surprising how many people here said they read white papers. But we right along.
What's the old name for content marketing? What was it called before?
Advertising.
It's called
Advertising.
Okay.
Remember the trifold brochure?
My name is Dave Woods with West Group Research. Thank you for coming out. I guess I'll use this as good. A couple questions as like an econometrician coming up. I'm probably like the guy who just does stuff. I'm a data lover, and you guys all love data. And my question to you is, with data being so integrated on everything, do you feel like we're losing traditional ways of finding out information, and how do you intertwine the two? Go.
Well, Diane Barris is here from Clear Channel Outdoor, and she can tell you that billboards work, and they work better today because they cut through the clutter. So it depends on what the traditional form of marketing is, and it depends on who you're trying to reach. I was doing a presentation yesterday for the Tech Council, and somebody asked me, how do you reach CEOs? I just want to reach CEOs. And I said, are you talking to all the people around the CEO? Because that's who the CEO listens to. They're like, oh, okay. And then I said, and do you do something disruptive? Like, we're about to send an incredibly cool tech device that I wish that I had one to 40 CEOs in 3 states, and it's a gift that they're going to love whether they decide to work with our client or not. It's a breakout type of thing. So I just think that whatever the content is, it's got to resonate and be of value. It's got to break through the 400,000 impressions that we each consume a day, and it's got to say that the company is special and valuable.
So we're a data house. That's all we do is research, and I mean we have a dozen, 15 guys in the back, gals in the back with propellers that are crunching numbers. I mean, and it's not just numbers. It's every little piece of data that affects a business or a business that we would be working with, we are looking at, we are analyzing, and the marketing team, we're taking that information, figuring out, okay, how do we market to them? And to Sheila's point, we market to CEOs. That's all primarily we do with CEOs and COOs, because ultimately they're the ones that can drive that decision. So oftentimes we're looking at that industry, finding out what trends are happening in that industry and why certain companies made certain moves and did certain things. And and taking that data then and going and marketing to their competitors and other companies that are within that kind of micro subset of an industry. But we use data. I mean, we have so much data. It's insane.
So, some question on that is big data is what I'm going with that the traditional marketing but asking the questions. It's big data that can really show the behaviors and the trends,
Right.
but it doesn't explain the why. So, do you guys integrate the why with the behavior?
So we look at a lot of the behaviors of companies that are prospects, companies that are analyzing maybe 4 or 5 certain regions, and then we look at the behaviors and the decision-making points on companies that have actually located here. So companies that have planted their flag and said, yeah, we're moving 50 people here, company X out of San Jose, and then we look at the data from both subsets and figure out how do we take that and market. Because there may be trends on the big data side, that's great. It's telling us trends and it's telling us what's happening and it's telling us who's doing what. But at the end of the day, the decision-making process is most of the time a completely different. It's a completely different. There's a completely different decision point that's taking place. But yeah, I mean, big data is good. It's we look at all that stuff. At the end of the day, it's really looking at what are those last 4 or 5 companies that are similar, what decisions are they making and why. So, and oftentimes it's something that's not quantifiable.
Thank you.
So while we're on the topic of big data, we'll walk over here. August 21st, we're doing our Tech Council BMA Marketing Tech Summit, and the whole thing is on big data. We've got CIOs from Insight, from the Phoenix Suns. We've got the general manager of Unified Communications from Cisco Systems flying out from Silicon Valley. We've got Laura Ramos, who's the senior analyst for CMOs from Forrester, coming out. It's going to be a great conference. My goal is to get 300 people there, so if you're not there, I will hunt you down.
Thank you. Back to developers. Specifically, what kind of developers are you guys all looking for?
All. I couldn't tell you exactly what
Ones with fingers.
Because we happen to be mobile app developers. We're local and we don't outsource. We're right here in the valley. Yeah, they have propellers on their heads if you wanted to.
Make sure Joe gets your card.
Exactly.
In order for an agency to be effective, you have to really understand your clients' customers. Mr. Mike.
Okay. In order to be really effective as an agency, you have to really understand your clients' customers. Now, out of every 10 clients you work with, how many of them do you think really understand their customers when you start working with them? 10 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 5 out of 10, that they really understand their customers well enough to give you guidance for your work to be effective.
I mean, I'll start. I think all of our clients have some basic knowledge on their client, who their customers are. It's our job to find other nuances about them and their buying behavior that we can bring some creative solutions to the table. Otherwise, we're not needed. So, we'd like to, does everybody have all the information they need? No, but we're there to add value to that, create value to find some insights about their buyers that they might not have thought about. And kind of going back to the question from the gentleman from West Group and big data, too much of anything, any one thing is not good. And so it's great to do a lot of data analytics, and we all do it, but sometimes you just have to go talk to people. What was the famous Sam Walton quote, if you want to find out what your customers are thinking, go talk to them. I mean, it's true. So I'm sure we all do the same thing. We've got to balance all the data analytics and this ton of reams of paper that we have access to with periodically going out and having some one-to-one conversations with the actual buyers in a variety of ways. There's so many cool tools to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, going back to what I said earlier about face-to-face, it's imperative, especially when you're dealing with decision makers. When we're dealing with companies, it's After the company gets here, we're typically talking with their leadership on, hey, how would you like to be communicated with? What's the preferable method? Oftentimes, too, we're not meeting with the CEO, or we're meeting with one of the consultants, so that communication channel is completely different than dealing with the decision maker of a company. But I'm gonna plus one you. So yeah, go and talk to your customer. I think oftentimes, entrepreneurs and companies, they start building a product that they want to build, and then they realize that their customer doesn't want that product. They want a certain iteration of it. So before you start anything, go talk to your customers.
One of the, I think, surprising things for me, but maybe in hindsight should have been surprising, is we're dealing with the entrepreneurs, and they know their customers way better than I would say most corporate marketing teams would know their customers, because the guy who's started installing artificial lawns, and that's his business, guess what? He's installing artificial lawns. He's in the person's houses, he's talking, or Barbecue Cleaning Guru is a company we have in town. They just clean high-end barbecues. That guy knows his customers inside and out. So one of the fun things, making that shift is these entrepreneurs, they really, really know their customers. Even, some of the data, I was surprised that, we always ask, how much are you willing to pay for a customer? How much are you willing to invest to get a customer? And I would say, I don't know how many corporate marketers could just off the top of their head answer that question, really know the answer to that. But they do. $45. Yeah, my carpet cleaning, here's $45 I'm willing to pay to get a customer. So it's been kind of refreshing to deal with the people that are literally right there with the customers each and every day. It's not about you got to go out and talk to your customers. I mean, they're living with their customers each and every day.
So we'll save room for 2 more questions. Anybody else? Just autograph mine.
Why don't you ask crystal ball type what the future looks like? I just did. So what does the future hold for agencies and client relationships? Arizona, where are we going to be? I guess if there was a crystal ball here, if you have your own crystal ball, what would you say?
I think it's an exciting time to be in the agency world here, because there's a lot of creativity and innovation. So like I say, we do a lot of work in Texas, and especially in Dallas and Houston, and a little bit in Austin. And they're sort of known for that, but I think that there's so much about our culture here that's really exciting. So of all the states that I've done marketing in, we're a much more people-connected type of place. There's an event for everything at some part of the day. How many networking events have you all been to this week? Probably 2, 3, 4, something like that. So Phoenix has a little bit different culture than a lot of cities where it's hard to connect, even though we have urban sprawl and all of that. So the opportunity to connect and make relationships and add new clients is very powerful here in a way that I don't think that it is in some other cases. Chris is absolutely right. We're in some cases a best kept secret, but we're a phenomenal place to do business. And there are a lot of us doing work to try to improve the reputation of Arizona outside of our borders, but it's just a phenomenal time to be in marketing. It's a phenomenal time to be a part of all this technological change and to really make a huge impact. So, I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm more excited about it today than I was 15 years ago.
I would echo that. I would say it's an exciting time to be in marketing. The irony is that the digital technologies, they're relatively inexpensive to use and kind of get communication out, but they're very labor intensive. So I think marketing teams and marketers in general will be in high demand. It's really going to be a high growth area. It was always funny, if you want to do a paid search campaign, a $10 million budget to do paid search. Think of all of the complexity of all of the campaigns and keywords and very specificity on landing page, lots of. It takes a lot of people to make that work. It's a lot more people than in the old days when it was just like, hey, we got to put an ad on TV in 3 networks, and we're going to spend $500,000 on the ad and run it for 9 months. And so I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in the marketing space for careers and growth. And I think Arizona's kind of perfectly positioned to take advantage.
Yeah, I would say if I have a crystal ball, in 5 years, we would have all 3 of our state universities would be top 50 research universities. And we would have more than, we would actually have, outside of Midwestern, we would have a teaching hospital in Phoenix. That would be huge. As the 6th largest city in the U.S., we don't have an actual teaching hospital yet. So, in my crystal ball, that would be awesome, because the better we can get our education and the better we can educate our K through 12 students and actually give them the principles and give them the education they need to be successful, the more clients every single one of you will have. Those small businesses and those entrepreneurs that are launching their businesses today, whether they're installing artificial grass or cleaning barbecues or making apps or doing whatever, we need more of those businesses. So my challenge to every single one of you is when you look at all of your customers, you are helping them sell products and you are helping them generate revenue. The more products they sell, the more revenues they sell, the more people they're hiring here in Arizona and in Phoenix. So I hope my crystal ball is that every single one of your clients is going to be growing more and more, so that way our economy can continue to flourish and my kids have better opportunities here in the Valley.
Yeah, I think our greatest opportunity, it's our entrepreneurial spirit, and that's what Arizona has been kind of built on. All of us started as a small business at some point and have grown, starting other businesses. What you did with Seed Spot to get that off the ground, and now with GPAC, I mean, those are just incredible engines for this is a marketplace. And there really is something, and exactly what you've done. I mean, leaving a Fortune 500 company and starting, acquiring a company to build up. I mean, that's the type of spirit that is driving all of us. I think that's why we're all here, to either build a business that we're working for now or to find a way to start something down the road. And I think that's going to be our greatest asset moving forward. It has been for quite a long time, particularly as our state has started to diversify away from the things Chris was talking about earlier into broader services. That's what's going to be exciting. It's going to be really interesting to watch this market in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, I'd just add that it's a really exciting time to be in marketing, as all the panelists have said. To John's point, I mean, there's a democratization of marketing right now, whether it's your content marketing or the ability to adopt a new technology and become really great at it, which small agencies and shops can do now. So I'd encourage the agencies out there to really laser in and be really great at something. And I'll tell you that as many groups as we work with, regardless of size, there's always a few out of those partners that we work with that quickly rise to the top. And it's based on sort of their curiosity, they're leaning into the account and want to know as much as they can, and really just putting a lot of passion into the project. So as many agencies as there are out there, there's a far smaller subset that are really great at what they do and partners with us.
All right, guys, can we have a round of applause? I'm sure you guys are mostly sticking around. We have the bar open for another hour or so, and you guys are welcome to go explore Topgolf. Thank you guys all for coming. I hope to see you all on the 21st. I'm seriously going to find you out there. Thank you again. We appreciate you all being here.
Hello.
Hi, great to see you again. How are you?
Good. How are you? Oh.
I know.